Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and we're going to take a closer look at this DEWALT 4-in-1 kind of flip socket extension with that quick lock 1/4-inch hex driver end. Now this is something very similar to what we see in Klein, but Klein actually solves an issue 3 different ways with the Klein version, and DEWALT doesn't even try to solve it. But there are some notable differences. First of all, I'd want to revisit this. I did go ahead and get the Surge in the kit, the new Milwaukee Surge. This is the 2761-22. It comes with 2 5-amp-hour batteries, a blow-molded case, and a charger. And about a quarter, more than a quarter of this case is just the charger. And I've got chargers all over the place. But I decided, I got this from Acme Tools, and I had a $10 off coupon, so I got it for $269 free shipping. And that meant for that $70, I got 2 more batteries. So $35 a piece, that's pawn shop prices. If I saw one of these 5-amp-hour batteries new in the package in a pawn shop for $35, I'd probably get it. Would I get 2 if they had 2? I don't know. I'd sure think about it. I don't need the blow molded case, but it's definitely a little bit smaller than I was expecting. And then, of course, the driver. I love it. But anyway, revisiting this is like a Barbie accessory to my new Barbie tool here. This is a 7/16, 3/8, 5/16, and 1/4. Now, if you want the 7/16, which is the largest size, you're going to have to go to a very specific set in the Klein. And on that set, you can see I've got 1/4, 5/16 all the way up. They handle the bit. Now this is the interesting part. There is a double detent here. So I'm going to go through the 3 different ways. This is not going to hold it at all. So I can slide this out, and then I've got a bit driver. So a brilliant solution there with that ability to move the detent on the 1/4-inch side. Now, what do you do if you have metrics? Well, here is the 7, and it actually drives the bit just fine. However, if you look in here, and I can slide it forward, it's a little tough to see. Maybe add some light here. You can see down in there, there is a shelf. You see that? That shelf is what engages the bit. And that shelf then allows a 7mm socket to hold a 1/4-inch hex bit. So that's another solution there. And then of course they've got their double-sided one, so it's a 1/4-inch drive on one side and a 1/4-inch drive on the other. However, if you look at this, one is designed for bits and the other is designed for driving bolts or nuts. So 1/4-inch fasteners, machine screws, whatever, because that doesn't go in far enough, as you can see there. DEWALT, they didn't even bother. It's one set. Now, it's also a little bit different in the way this thing works. They've got these giant shelves, and there are 2 of them. And this one has a magnet, and that's what holds this on, because this is actually just sitting on this thing. There's no active attachment like a ball detent or something. There's just a magnet there, and you could probably get that clean. It's one of the things, as they say, it's flush magnet, so you can clean off the metal filings and stuff like that. So you just store that there. They say you can also store other sockets on there. Well, let's see. Can I store this one? Yeah, I can store that. What about this giant 11/16? If I get that guy off of there. Drop that on. That one's not going on. About this guy. Yeah, but I can't attach it to anything. Anyway, so that's their solution. If you look closely, these are anchored on here, so there's no way to use that center shaft. That's like wasted space. They've got the magnet on one side and the detent on the other. If you throw that socket on, the detent is what's holding it on there. You know, I'm going to do a video soon. I'm getting so tired of detents like this. This hasn't changed in like 150, maybe 200 years. I don't think we've dialed it in. I think we've gotten lazy. There's got to be a better way. I'll talk about that with ratchets. But anyway, this thing sells for about $16.99, $17. I think that's what I paid for it at a hardware store. But I noticed Acme Tools has it for $16.99 plus a 10% off coupon if you want to get that. But I don't know if that meets free shipping. But it's another way of approaching this same idea, but to me, it feels like an also ran. You know, it's like, well, yeah, we've got one of those too. You know, does that even, that just sits there. In fact, it only sits one way. I forgot I noticed that earlier. If you drop it on with the larger side down, it doesn't engage the magnet very much. So you really have to go this side. And then if you put this on, then either side seems to hold quite well. Now, what's different? What's good? Well, you've got that 7/16, and some of the Kleins, they have the 7/16, and some don't. If this has got the reversing screw hold or bit holder, you probably lost the 7/16. You got the 5/16, which would have been in that position, and then the 3/8, and then the 7/16. Well, 7/16 and 3/8 is a really common size set for a lot of electrical work. In fact, this is a Milwaukee can wrench that is nothing but a 7/16 and 3/8. That's all this thing does. You know, it's color coded, kind of, you know, black and white here, so you can easily grab the right one. The part number on this, if you're interested, is 48223016. And that's pretty much all it is. And sells for about 26 bucks. It is wrench ready. That's what they say in case you've really got something stuck. But that's all this thing is. So this one little socket here might be valuable to you if you don't have the Klein one already. Just simply to be able to flip back and forth between that on the business end of an impact driver like this. So anyway, there's that. So anyway, that's the DEWALT entry. I'm guessing DEWALT might pay a little bit more attention to this because they're great at making kits. They're great at combining different types of sockets and bit drivers and things like that. And of course they make a great line of drills, I'm told. But anyway, there it is. If you are interested in something like this, I'll put a couple links below to a few. It is made in Taiwan. And of course, it does have a few limitations, I think, if you're used to the Klein system, but it also might have a couple, or at least one, good advantage. Let me know your thoughts. And with that, Doc out.